Welcome to Twin Tarot. I'm David.
And I'm Gary.
And today we're going to talk about...
the Supreme Court.
Yay!
Woo!
My favorite court. There's
Yes.
high ethics and standards.
Absolutely. They've got a couple of important rulings coming up here.
Like, if they're going to get fries or fruit with their lunches.
Fries with that. No, we've got this great immunity ruling for President Biden.
Yes.
How much immunity President Biden is going to have forward.
I hope it's full immunity. I want to see SEAL Team 6
they're
invading Capitol Hill in the Supreme Court chambers.
Doing some extra push-ups right now, just getting ready. So, Supreme Court has been, they're being very deliberative, and they're making sure they got all their I's dotted and T's crossed, trying to make sure that whatever immunity ruling they come out with is going to be well thought out and very, very clear that there'll be no ambiguity.
Yes. In other words, they've held up the Jack Smith January 6th investigation case where Donald Trump's the only indicted person in this.
Currently.
And, there's unindicted co-conspirators, but he's the only one that the trial would be on.
Yeah.
And the Supreme Court has held this up since November, December of last year as they very diligently look into whether or not presidents are kings. This decision could have been done in weeks, but they have opted to take several months because at the end of the day, they're doing Donald Trump a favor. They are going to try and prevent all his cases from happening prior to the election. That's the end goal.
Technically, months are a series of weeks, so it's just more weeks than you thought it was going to take.
Yeah, no.
So
funny how quickly they got the Nixon tapes ruling done. They got that done in about 8 weeks. They got the whole Nixon thing done, from Nixon saying, I have presidential immunity from handing over my Watergate tapes, to them saying, nope, we've ruled on it. You have to turn over the tapes tonight, type of thing.
That was back in 1974.
You think with technology, things would move faster these days.
Yeah. Well, there were different times back in 74. You didn't have to wear seatbelts or anything back then. We were rolling around the back of the family station wagon like, we were free, loose and free.
America.
Safety be damned. All right, so
where are we? I've lost.
Yeah, what were we reading on? I completely
Supreme
lost
Court.
the narrative.
Oh, yes. Will they rule that presidents will be king? Will they rule this week? Well, they have to rule this week. So the Supreme Court's the session ends on June 30th, which is Sunday. So they either get all their rulings out by Friday, which I think is what happens. It's possible they could have some rulings come out on the 1st. Hawk, one of my favorite TikTokers, was speculating that their decision will be out on Friday or Monday because, they've already made Judge Chutkan wait 8 months. Why not make her wait another week? We're recording this on Sunday.
Yes.
We're going to put it up Sunday night to go out Monday morning on the off chance the Supreme Court tries to do an end around on us and get this thing out. We're going to beat them first with this reading.
Yeah. They throw the pebble that way, so you look that way.
Exactly.
This way, right?
Oldest trick in the book. What's over there?
So it's the 23rd. It's Sunday. It's 4:15 in the afternoon, California time.
Pacific time.
All right. So, Supreme Court, our president's going to be kings. What's the immunity deal going to look like?
All right. Let's go see how they're going to rule. Entertainment purposes only. What do we know? We're not lawyers. Nor do we role play any lawyers in our D&D groups.
We didn't even sleep in a Holiday Inn Express last night.
Then I would be as smart as a lawyer.
We're just a whole bunch of nothingness here.
Okay, so foundation of the reading is the Four of Cups. Four of Cups is, this could be, deliberative contemplation of all the various permutations and nuances of something, or it could just be that they come up with an answer that's not very satisfactory to anybody. But this is like, we don't want to rule on this. This, when we were kids, it would be called having the timer put on so that you eat whatever nastiness was cooked
whatever
for you.
Mom made that we didn't want to eat.
It usually involved something from a magazine. The magazines that my mom subscribed to were our worst culinary enemies as children.
They're like the make stuff your children will hate magazine.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't know why anybody would give her subscriptions to those, but obviously we have aunts and uncles that hated us.
Oh God, we didn't know green beans were actually green until we were adults. Green beans were gray. We never understood why they were called green beans. They were gray beans. And crispy? No, 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 no. You can eat them with a straw.
Now we're being obviously a little bit sarcastic.
Only a little.
They were shades of gray. You had 4 kids.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Kids complain about no matter what you
Exactly. So this is the Supreme Court. You know, I think when they finally give their ruling, there's going to be a collective. We waited this long for this.
Yeah, it might be.
It's like, oh God. Yeah, yeah. There's going to be a disappointment in here. In some ways, I think the Supreme Court's disappointed that they couldn't give Trump full immunity. Like, well, Trump's going to
correct yourself. Biden and
Yes.
full immunity.
Well, Trump is the one that wants full immunity, right?
Yes.
And he's not going to get what he wants, but he's going to get enough that his court cases have been delayed.
Yeah.
But at the same, and that's what they're trying to do. They may not fully get the delay in there. One of the things that Tanya Chutkin can do, and you've heard this from other folks, and probably Midas Touch too, is that it's possible that Judge Chutkin could have a hearing to decide what's, you know, a presidential act versus a private decision, and then basically put on the entire case for the American public to see. It just won't have a jury because all she has to do is rule what was presidential and what was not, and then charge. The other thing was Jack Smith. This could be Jack Smith going, I can't believe it. I have to drop. I have 5. I think he's got 4 indictments. I have to drop 3 of the indictments, but I have a couple left I can hit him with.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I had heard. I don't know if it's Midas Touch or Bo, but this I think it was Bo the Fifth Column was speculating that they may come back with a kind of 3-tiered ruling.
yeah,
Which is president. Like go ahead and assassinating a general in Iran is under presidential immunity.
assassinating your political opponents is not under presidential immunity.
And everything else will be up to the courts to decide.
Yeah.
So, okay, Page of Swords.
Page of Swords.
Youthful energy there.
Page of Swords. Swords are about intelligence and stuff.
Communication.
Pages are are young.
Somewhat inexperienced.
It could be immature.
But he's got a fearless look to it, right?
Swinging around. Basically, they're going to kick it down to the lower courts. This is the lower courts. The Supreme Court should be your king of swords.
Yeah.
This is going to be kicking it all the way back down the court system.
Yeah.
This is your kicking the card, the court cases down the road. In the past, we got the 3 of Swords. The Supreme Court has just been, this majority has been corrupt. Actually, and it's funny, there's 3 swords. There's 3 liberal justices
Who are heartbroken.
who are heartbroken watching their Republican or their conservative colleagues.
Thank you.
Their conservative colleagues probably twist themselves into a pretzel, trying to figure out some way for this to work out for Trump. Yet, I think they're just watching our democracy push right to the precipice, and they can't believe it took as long as it did for them to come up with this ruling, as opposed to saying no. But
How many court cases are kind of on hold because of this?
January 6th is definitely on hold. Mar-a-Lago, not so much.
But it might
Georgia
be.
Rico-
Because he's been trying to get president.
Yeah, it's mostly the January 6th case that's held
Okay.
up
So
on that.
okay. I was wondering if there was 3 cases.
3 cases. Current situation is the 8 of Wands. When they have the announcement, it'll be announced over the airwaves. We'll find out quickly. I mean, we're going to hear about it in less than a week. I suspect, if I'm looking at this, it's not going to be this Friday or Monday. It's going to happen sooner, which is probably good that we get this video up on Monday. But I got this card the last time we threw on this, which is why, like 2 weeks ago, we had a video up on this. Because it's like, Gary, we got to get this out because it's coming quickly.
Exactly. Well, time is relative, right?
Yeah, there's no time on the other side. Pure energy. Time goes to zero.
So, yeah,
It becomes undefined.
They got to balance it here.
Yeah, the overarching energy of this is the 2 of Coins. It's the balance. It's how do you protect Trump and not, give Biden too much power? Because if they get full presidential immunity, I guarantee you SEAL 16 will be ready to go.
That's right.
To take out a dozen senators, a few dozen House members, and 2/3 of the Supreme Court.
Oh gosh.
Because there's no criminal liability for it, and you won't have a job. Biden can.
It's funny because Trump was offering the CEOs of the oil companies, you give me lots of money and I'll let you drill for free.
Yeah, but
basically.
take all the regulations out. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, maybe this is one of those things where Biden can have a fundraiser. It's like, who do you want me to take out?
That'd be great.
Give me money.
Exactly. Whoever just donate money. That's equal to the number of votes, and the votes will say the order with which they get taken out.
Yeah. So, the Supreme Court really does have to balance this because it applies to all presidents, former and current and future. So they can't be flippant about. Not that they would be flippant, but they have to really be very considerate of what they're going to call presidential immunity versus what there is clearly not.
I'm gonna just stop mincing words. They've been effing around with this for a long time.
Okay.
They did not need to take as long as they did with this.
How do you really feel about that?
Yeah. The lesson we learned is the Knight of Cups. They're going to try and present this polished turd, as a well thought out, debated decision.
That will be the messaging.
That will be the messaging, and it's absolutely false. This is basically they could have come to this decision 2 to 3 weeks in and have had this thing done months ago. Like 6 months ago, this could have been done, but they've delayed it because they're doing a favor for somebody. Out comes the Hierophant. Their decision doesn't impact the government. It impacts their reputation. In the end of the day, nothing changes. Nothing changes. I mean, it's not like they're providing some type of hugely insightful
some trail
ruling that it's like, oh my
ruling.
God, this is genius. This really nails it down. My God, we've been so mean-spirited and cruel and snarky and sarcastic with the Supreme Court, and they've really knocked it out of the park. That's not what's going to happen. This is going to be the collective. Really, it took you guys that long. This is the Ents saying good morning to each other. For you Lord of the Ring fans out there.
You feel very passionate about this.
It's a reeking of corruption. And I'm done. I am so done. I'm a very impatient person when it comes to stuff, and I don't have tolerance for time wasters on something where
it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry, and there are big implications with this. This is like watching the refs flag your team and whistle fouls on you and call penalties on you that they haven't called on the other team. I mean, when you look at the final box score, your team's had 19 penalties for 250 yards, and the other team has 1 penalty for 5 yards because somebody jumped off sides and they couldn't not call it because the whole stadium saw it. And if they could have gotten away with it, they'd have left that one uncalled too.
I got a follow-up question.
I'll probably punch you if you ask any questions on this one.
I'm telling Mom again.
Get the one
You're lucky
out.
Mom wasn't home. I went home to visit my mom on Saturday, and he's lucky because she was not home. Otherwise, she was going to get an earful about how mean you were.
Get the wooden spoon out.
That's right. She knows where you live. Yeah. So, here's my question.
Yes.
So, if it does come back as a 3-tier approach, right? So,
which is what we're expecting.
Yeah, that make the most sense. Why this is taking so damn long, right? Because if it was they're completely immune or they have complete non-immunity,
It would have
that would
been
have came
ruled
out
on.
a long time ago,
Yeah.
right? So there's got to be some gray area. Has Judge Chutkan been preparing for this? Has the judge and the staff of the judge been preparing for this inevitability? Yeah. Or is it really the attorneys on both sides have to present their arguments and then the judge just rules on it?
I don't know. I do know that when Judge Chutkan did say that when she suspended the case pending the Supreme Court's very slow ruling, that she would give both sides like 88 days. There was like 88 days before the case started. So it was like it got suspended in like the end of November, beginning of December, and she had a court date of March 4th. This thing should have been decided already. We're here in, June, end of June. It would be almost 4 months past the original court date. This thing should have been done and dusted at this point. And she said, okay, well, when this starts, I'll give you the same amount of time, which would have been roughly 90 days, a little bit less than 90 days. Gary might be looking that up, but
I put it at the end of September.
so that could put it at the end of September on this one. But she could also decide that she's going to change her mind.
Yeah.
There's no reason why she has to stick with that.
I mean, they honestly, the attorneys on both sides should have been prepping for this either way, right?
Exactly. And that was one of the things I was watching somebody say, that Jack Smith could just decide to say, fine, you know what, after they're going to they have to decide what's presidential and non-presidential, and then Jack Smith could pare down his indictment just to go after the non-presidential stuff. Because ultimately what you want to do is you want to get the whole story out there so people understand what happened.
Yep.
And it's not the MAGA folks that need to understand this because they don't care. It's not the Democrats that need to hear this because they already made up their mind, just like the MAGAs have already made up their mind. It's the women voters. It's the independents. It's the people that weren't paying attention and are now like, oh, well, this is kind of interesting. You're only talking a few percentage of the people that it's going to impact and change their decision. But that's the few percentage of people that you need in order to prevent this country from going to a dictatorship.
That's right. All right.
Every small amount makes a difference. So the question is...
I'm not sure. So we're going to pause this for just a second so we can agree on the question.